Hi, this is Marcus Giuliano from Aromatime Bistro. You can find me at aromatimebistro.com or healthychefdude.com or healthconsciousfood.com. So Jamie and I were out eating dinner last night. Jamie, zoom in on these here. We went to a wine bar, and they had small bite-sized hors d'oeuvres and small plates. I took these home from the restaurant. These are the sun-dried tomatoes that they had at the restaurant there, what are most sun-dried tomatoes in most restaurants. They're bright, they're red, they're juicy, they're plump, nothing wrong with the flavor. They look like they were a fresh picked tomato that all of a sudden just mysteriously just dried up. These tomatoes over here, I'm proud to say, are the tomatoes that we serve at Aromatime. And you're thinking, gee, Marcus, those don't look anything like a tomato. It looks like, some kind of dried chili pepper that went wrong and it's dark. Well, these tomatoes here are actually organic. There's no added funky stuff like sulfur dioxide, which is a sulfite. These tomatoes here actually even have glucose. I went to a food distributor not a few minutes ago and borrowed a 5-pound case of sun-dried tomatoes from them. It's a common brand, gets sent to restaurants everywhere. But if you go in on the ingredients, you see sulfur dioxide and you also see glucose. I don't know if we can zoom in and get that, but there's actually glucose added here. Now, I've tried to look on websites and find out glucose, and of course they point you back to blood glucose. They say, a process of photosynthesis, and there's a lot of different things. And this company won't tell me really what, because they're just a co-packer for a bigger producer. They really won't tell me what exactly glucose is, but glucose has to be a sugar with the OSE ending. So basically, I'm assuming there's a liquid sugar in here, there's sulfur dioxide, and then they're dehydrated, and they look like this. You go to a restaurant and you're like, wow. Unfortunately, a lot of us like to buy with our eyes, not with what labels say and not with common sense or an education base. So we're here to educate you the difference on basic dried fruits and stuff like tomatoes. Those are the tomatoes I'm proud to say we serve. They're organic. They have sea salt on them. Nothing funky. These are apricots that just came from the store. Unfortunately, I don't have my apricots here at the restaurant because we just used them all up. But see how plump these are? These are what apricots, we all know they look like in the store. Our apricots look like our tomatoes. They're much smaller, they're darker, they're organic. These have sugar in them. There's no glucose in there, but there's sugar and there's sulfites, sulfur dioxide. Pineapples from the store. Nice, this looks like a pineapple after you cut it, just a little bit dried up. That's not what a pineapple looks like. If you dry it organically and you don't have all the sulfur in there. And this is actually loaded with sugar too. And when you see a lot of the dried fruits like mangoes and peaches and other things, they're loaded with sugar. So the advantage to not buying organic to begin with is that you're really robbing yourself of the vital minerals that are getting into the organic foods versus foods that don't have that potential. Not saying that some conventional food isn't grown right, because some conventional food is grown right, but typically organic is better taken care of, more nutrients, more minerals. So, believe it or not, I was reading some studies in UK, some of the servings of dried fruit have 3,000 parts per million of sulfites per serving. In the UK, there was 2,000 parts per million. When you look at wine, you're looking at wine that could have 100 parts per million. So you're talking 3,000 parts per million per 100 parts per million. Now, I'm showing you one of our better labels here at the restaurant. This actually is sulfite free. They've bottled this wine with no added sulfites. The natural sulfites have been taken out of it as well because they've diminished them down in the fermentation process or the aging process. But wine that you go up and buy in the store is going to have 100, 200 parts per million the most. And some of the really fine wines, big Cabernets, I've spoken to the vintners and they claim they only put 40 parts per million. So fruit has far more. In fact, your kid's largest dose of carbon dioxide will come from dried fruits, dried apples, dried peaches, all these kinds of things. Raisins, it's rampant in all of it. So Jamie, just go in there and focus in on that. I'll read off a couple more statistics here because I've done a lot of research on this over the years, but really a lot more research today because I wanted to tell people about this. I was really frustrated last night when I went to this restaurant because in the dark, this restaurant, those tomatoes were glowing, and I said, those are not something I really want to eat. There's lots of great stuff. Rebecca Wood wrote a book back in 88 called, or 98 or 88, 1988, called The New Whole Foods Encyclopedia. And she talks all about this, whereas there's a lot of great information. Now, interesting enough, in 1986, the FDA banned the use of sulfites on fresh produce, but they allow these sulfites still to be in the dried produce, which does not make sense to me. So when you're out and about, the point of this whole thing is education. It's really about just educating yourself. If you go to a restaurant and you see stuff like that, ask them, say there's sulfites in it. Or why don't you buy sun-dried tomatoes or dried apricots without the sulfites? And ask, is there glucose or other added sugars in? Because that's how I began to change. Customers would slowly ask here and there. And I remember the first time a customer actually pointed out in hormones and antibiotics in meat, I was shocked. I didn't know. As a concerned chef, I wanted to please the customer. So that's when I began my research episode well over 12 years ago, 11, 12 years ago. So by asking when you go to a restaurant or in a store, it raises the consciousness and it makes a difference. Here at Aroma Time, I'm very conscious. And people still say to me, oh, well, how about this or how about that? And I'll do the research. I'll make sure. I'll try to find an alternative, even though I'm pretty sure we're on top of a lot of things here. But I'm always willing to have a conversation about sustainability, about health. And this is our passion here at Aroma Time. So find me at healthychefdude.com or at healthconsciousfood.com and enjoy your food. Enjoy some good, healthy, organic, wholesome food without the chemicals and additives. See you guys later.